Hello everyone, it is Beth, your self-care specialist with Divine Me Time. Today I'll be sharing a restorative practice with you. So begin to gather your props and I'll meet you on the floor. So with your blocks, place one at the highest height at the top of the mat, another at medium height, about a foot or so away from that. Lay your bolster parallel to the short edge of the mat, and you're going to be placing your knees over that. So go ahead and sit facing the bolster and swing your legs over that. And then you're going to grab hold of the middle height block as you tuck your chin to your chest and gently roll down, placing that block right under the shoulder blades. And you might have to adjust that for comfort. So it should feel really nice and supportive. And then finally the head on the high block. Now if this feels like too much of an opening for the chest, you can lower each of the blocks by one height. You could also, if you wanted to, use a bolster here under the back and place your head on a medium height block. And then you might want to cover or have something to cover your feet. And then just relax and breathe and enjoy the opening of the chest and that feeling of support from underneath. Getting ready now to transition to our next posture. We'll be keeping the blocks in place, tucking chin to chest, rolling up, and removing the bolster from under the legs. So coming into a cobbler's pose with the soles of the feet together, either sitting up straight or bending forward from the hips. And at any point, you can begin a massage on the feet. We'll transition now into a supported Sphinx pose. So you'll need your bolster parallel to the top edge of the mat. Have a block just above, in case you need that. And coming to all fours and lowering the body down. What we want are the forearms to be over the top edge of the bolster. And then using the block to support the head at whatever height you find comfortable. If you'd rather use your hands to support your forehead, you can also do that. Now I have my hands interlaced, so I have a triangular foundation there through the arms, which I really like, but you might prefer to have your arms parallel to each other. The other thing that I really like here, sometimes if my back is bothering me, I will place another block just under the pelvis. Pretty much at the pubic bone. And that just helps take some of the extra compression out of the lower back. And then you might prefer to have your legs together, or perhaps towards the corners of the mat as I do. And just adjust yourself until you're comfortable, and we'll relax here for some time. Feel free to remain here if you would like. You can start to bend one foot in towards the buttocks and then the other. So we're just bending at the knee and drawing the heel in. And then with both. And as you do this, whether you do it with one leg at a time or both legs at a time, notice what's happening through your back and hips and pelvis. You might have a tendency to push down through the pubic bone, or perhaps the back arches and the butt kind of pokes out. It's not that any or either are wrong or better. Just be aware of both and that both are possible, and find what works for you. And then go ahead and make your arms parallel and just come into more of a Sphinx pose. Again, feel free to have the legs bent here or straight out. And if you would like to add a slight turn of the head to look back, do so. And then release. Using the hands to push yourself back, up and into a child's pose, keeping the bolster pretty much where it was. Let's use that to rest the wrists and forearms. You may need a block here for your forehead, or you can drop your head all the way to the floor if that's comfortable. And then let's have the wrists facing each other to start. And then as you release and let go here, you can start to explore some rotations through either all the way up to the shoulder or just through the wrists. Coming up into a kneeling position, just resting in Vajrasana. And coming onto all fours. And we'll swing one leg into a square lunge over that bolster. And from here, we'll come into a supported pigeon. So bring your hands to the bolster and then drop your lower leg parallel to the bolster, to the floor. Back leg extended. And likely you'll start with your hands supporting your body here. Now, if you're too far back on the bolster, it probably won't be as comfortable as scooting a little forward and allowing the back thigh to get a little benefit from the support of the bolster as well. So you can stay upright here if this is, quite enough sensation for you. And then, of course, as the body releases, you're welcome to come down to your forearms or even all the way to the floor. Now, even though we're shooting for a shin parallel to the bolster, if it's not completely parallel, don't force it. It's not that important. Your comfort is always far more important. So as all the tension in my body lets go, I just grab hold of a block to rest my head on. So to come out, let's place the hands on the floor and push up. Might even want to extend that back leg with the toes bent back just to get a little extra opening before we just kind of roll back off the bolster. And just take a moment seated with the knees bent here, feet on the ground, just rocking side to side. And we'll go to the other side. So we can come into that square lunge with the other leg over the bolster. Taking the hands to the bolster and then lowering the shin parallel to the bolster. Making sure that back hip is rolling back towards the bolster. And then adjusting the weight, either a little further forward, most likely, or if necessary, a little further back. This side is a little more difficult for me, which is why I'm using the block on the high end to support the hands, so you can do that. Then as the body softens and releases, you can release to the floor. Preparing to come up on this side, using the hands to push up and turning to the open leg side. We will now prepare for Shavasana. So this final resting pose can be anything you want it to be. So I'm going to have my one bolster under my knees. I'm going to cover my feet to keep them warm and toasty. But if you would rather not have a bolster, if you would rather have belly down for Shavasana, or if you'd rather have your legs up on a chair or at the wall, feel free, of course, to make yourself comfortable and get what you need out of your practice. And once you're here, feel the support of the floor and your props and the way they contact your body. Feel your breath and let go. Let go and rest. Let's prepare to come out of Shavasana now by moving the fingers and toes. You might want to take a nice long body stretch here. You can take your feet to the bolster and bend your knees, or just bring your knees to your chest. Tucking into a nice little ball and perhaps rolling on the back left to right with the head moving opposite the knees. And just falling off to the side, curling up for a moment, using whatever head support you might need. And pushing up now into a seated position. Cross-legged, or in a chair if you prefer, and bringing the hands into Hakini Mudra. That's with all of the fingertips and thumb tips together, held at the level of the solar plexus. And just begin to breathe long and deep, smooth, in and out. Bringing the hands to the heart center, giving yourself a little bow. Thank you for joining me today for this restorative practice. I'll see you again soon.